We are going to be writing equations in various forms based on the information they're giving us. This is kind of a follow-up to the lesson we did before. So the first thing it wants us to do is to write an equation in point slope form of the line that passes through each point with the slope given. All right, well, we are, first off, what we need to do, we need to make sure we know what point slope form is. Remember, point slope form is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Okay, so where m is the slope, and then any point that we have on the line is x1 and y1. So if you always start out with this equation, y minus y1, let me put this up a little bit. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Now, let's look at the information they give us. They're giving us a line, and we have a slope and a point. Well, the slope is what goes right here at m. So I'm going to erase this m, and instead of m, I'm going to put a 3 because the slope is 3. Now, the point x1 and y1. So the x number, I'm going to erase just the x1. The x number is -1. The y number is -2. Now, if you looked and noticed what I did, look, they say minus a negative. Do you see how I wrote this right here? Okay, those have to change. So a negative times a negative is a positive. So it becomes y plus 2 equals 3 times x plus 1. This is my equation of that line in point slope form. Try and do number 2 and number 3 right now. Again, I'm going to write this down. I'm going to write the formula, and that's what I would do if I were you. It makes it easier. And then let's try and fill in the numbers. So it says m is -1. So I'm going to go where m goes away. The slope is -1. I'm going to put that right there. Then my point, I have x1 and y1. So x1, I'm going to erase the x1. I'm going to put a 1 in there. The y1, I'm going to erase the y1 right here, and I'm going to put -2 is what you should have done. You should have seen this part right here. So it becomes y plus 2 equals -1 times x minus 1. This is what you should have gotten for your equation. If you haven't done number 3, take the time to do it right now. On number 3, here's my slope. It's going to go right here where the m is. So instead of m, I'm going to put 0. Then I have x1 and y1. So, let's see here, erase the x1 and the y1. The x1 is 2, and the y1 is -3. So remember, minus a negative right here, you've got to rewrite it as y plus 3 equals 0 times x minus 2. Now, this is what it is in point slope form. We can simplify it further. If you remember, when we talk about horizontal lines, let's review a second on this on horizontal lines. Horizontal lines have a slope of 0. If I want to know the easy way to find the equation of that line, right here, it touches my y-axis at -3. Everywhere on this line, the y number is 3. My equation is going to be y equals -3. See, because if I went to take this equation right here and solve it to get y by itself, all I would get is y equals -3. And we'll practice that here in just a little bit. Let me move my paper up. So on number 4, 5, and 6, let's go through and let's put it in point slope form. So remember, I've got y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So why don't you go ahead and try and write these equations in point slope form and then come back and see how you did. I am going to write the formula to start off with. I think it helps us if we do that. And you will have the formula on your test. Okay, and it's also in the classwork section for the class information. Okay, first off, it's going to tell me that my m is 0. So I'm going to erase this m. My m is 0. Then I have x1 and y1. So let me erase the x1 and the y1. X1 is 3, y1 is 1. This is my equation in point slope form. Again, if you haven't done number 5, pause it now and go ahead and try and do it after you see an example. M is 8. So if I'm going to go here and where M is, I'm going to put an 8. Then I have my x1 and my y1. X1, y1. My x1 right here is -4. My y1 right here is going to be 6. So now, this one we have to simplify. The other one we didn't. We have to simplify because we have minus and negative. So it becomes y minus 6 equals 8 times x plus 4. This is what you should have gotten for point slope form. On number 6, here's your m. I'm going to go here. Instead of m, I'm going to put -4. And then I'm going to have x1 and y1. So let me erase these right here. X1 is 1, y1 is -3. Are we done? No, we have minus and negative right here. So I have y plus 3 equals -4 times x minus 1. This is my equation in point slope form. Okay, let's look at the next section. The next section wants us to write our equations in standard form. Standard form is ax plus by equals c. Now, the rules to this is x and y have to be on the same side. There cannot be any fractions, so no fractions. And the a has to be, so this a right here has to be positive. So those are really the rules when it's in standard form. So let's look here at the first one, what we would do. First thing I would do is the C are numbers. I need to get the numbers, just the plain constants to the right. So this says y plus 1. So I'm going to move this to the other side and I'm going to subtract 1 from each side. So this cancels and I get y equals x plus 1 because 2 minus 1 is 1. Now, we already said I've got to have my x and y on the same side. So the x has got to go over here. It is a positive x. So I'm going to subtract x from each side. So I get -x plus y equals, these x's cancel in 1. Are we done? I said that there can be no fractions. There's no fractions in there, but a has to be positive. So if I go to rewrite this, I'm going to change this to a positive x, negative y, and a -1. You change the sign of everything. This is my equation in standard form. If you think you know what to do, you can try and do number 8 right now. Okay, for those of you that don't, I'm still going to go through and give you an example. As I go through here, this one's a little different than what we had before. You're going to have to go in and do the distributive property first. Okay, so let's do that first. I'm going to pause for a second and then we'll come back and start back up. Okay, back to what we were doing here. We have y plus 9 equals negative 3x, and negative 3 times negative 2 is positive 6. Okay, now let's move our units to the right. So I'm going to subtract 9 from each side. And I get y equals negative 3x minus 3. Now that's slope-intercept form. Okay, so if we needed it in y equals or slope-intercept form, that's what it is, but it's asking it for standard form. So now the rule is I need to move my x to the other side. Remember, x and y have to be on the same side. So I'm going to add 3x to each side. And I get 3x plus y. These 3x's cancel, equal negative 3. Okay, no fractions, and the a is positive. This is my answer. If you're getting it, pause it and try and go through and get these other ones done and then come back and see how you did. So on number 9, you're going to multiply. And I have y minus 7 equals 4 times x is 4x. 4 times 4 is 16. Okay, move our units to the right. So I'm going to add 7 to each side. And I get y equals 4x plus 23. Now this is slope-intercept for those of you that aren't sure. So this is slope-intercept, but I need standard form. So I'm going to go and I'm going to subtract 4x from each side. And I'm going to get negative 4x plus y equals 23. Now again, no fractions. There's no fractions, but my a, that means this number in front has to be positive, and it's not. So if I change it, I'm going to write it up here. If I change it to positive, you have to change the sign of everything else. So I have to change this to minus y, and it equals negative 23. This is your equation in standard form. Moving my board up. The next one, at the equal sign, draw a dotted line. Negative 1 times x, negative 1 times negative 1. So I have y minus 4 equals negative x plus 1. Move the 4 to the right, plus 4. This is slope-intercept form. Y equals negative x plus 5. This right here is slope-intercept form. So now, though, I need to put in standard form. I need to move my x to the other side. So I get x plus y. These x's cancel, and it equals 5. All right, no fractions, yes. And the a value is positive, so this is standard form. The next one, multiply 4 times x and 4 times 3. Y minus 6 equals 4x plus 12. Okay, move our units to the right. So I'm going to add 6 to each side. I get y equals 4x plus 18. Now I need to move my x over to the left so that they're on the same side. So I'm going to subtract 4x from each side. So I get negative 4x plus y equals, these cancel, and it equals 18. Okay, no fractions, good, but my a value is positive, so I've got to change the sign. I change it to a positive 4x, and I have to change minus y equals negative 18. This is what your equation is in standard form. So now the big test is, can you do number 12? Let me try and erase to get some room here. All right, or at least make it less cluttered. So at the equal sign, draw a dotted line. I'm going to take -5 times x, -5 times -3. Y plus 5 equals -5x plus 15. Move the 5 to the other side. So I'm going to subtract 5 from each side. Y equals -5x plus 10. That's slope-intercept form, but I need it to be standard. So I need to move my x to the other side. So I'm going to add 5x to each side. I get 5x plus y equals 10. This is what your answer is because my a is positive and there are no fractions. All right, the last 6 problems, we need to write them in slope-intercept form. So let me erase all of this so we can put some other notes on here. Remember, slope-intercept form. Oh, open back up. There we go. Slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. Remember, m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. Okay. So these are written in point slope. So I would go here at the equal sign, and again, we're going to multiply. And I get y minus 4 equals 3x minus 6, because 3 times x is 3x, 3 times -2 is -6. Add 4 to each side. These cancel, and I get y equals 3x minus 2. This is slope-intercept form. We really were already doing that in the first steps to get standard form, so we've been practicing it. So now if we think we know what you're doing, go ahead and pause the video and try and do these next ones and come back and see how you did. At the equal sign right here, draw a dotted line. I've got a negative times an x and a negative times a 4. I get y plus 2 equals negative times x is negative x, negative times 4 is negative 4. Now, subtract 2 from each side, and I get y equals negative x minus 6. There's your answer. Number 15, at the equal sign, draw a dotted line. Do the distributive property first. So I get y minus 6 equals negative 2x, negative 2 times x, negative 2x, negative 2 times 2 is negative 4. Add 6 to each side. These cancel. Y equals negative 2x plus 2. Okay, hopefully we're on a roll now here. So if you haven't done the last 3, pause, feeling a little bit more confident, try those on your own and come back and see how you did. At the equal sign, distributive property, I get y plus 1 equals negative 5x plus 15. Then you should have subtracted 1 from each side. Y equals negative 5x plus 14. Number 17, the equal sign, draw a dotted line, do the distributive property. Y minus 3 equals 6x minus 6. Add 3 to each side. Y equals 6x minus 3. And the last one, again, the distributive property, y minus 8 equals 3x plus 15. Add 8 to each side. Y equals 3x plus 15 and 8 is 23. This is what you should have gotten.